across the way there, where that post office building currently stands, was the former site of Union Station. Opened, I believe, in 1914 originally. It was a beautiful looking building, but they pulled it down in the 60s with a decline in the prospects of the city itself, downtown, where everybody's moving out of town. But it was here in March 7th that Elvis disembarked on his discharge from the army. Photos of him taken with Captain Fred Woodward of the Memphis Police as he drove him out from the station down the ramp, which was at the far left side as you look at it here in the car. The train had stopped various places on the route back from Fort Dix in New Jersey, where Elvis had been mustered out, and then the train had stopped about a half hour outside of Memphis in Grand Junction, where members of the press and local Memphis buddies like George Klein had got on the train to ride the final stretch with Elvis. Gary Pepper of the Tankers fan club was also there to greet Elvis on his return. Gary has started the Tankers fan club because of Elvis being in the armoured tank division in the army. Elvis posed for a couple of pictures, greeted some of the fans who had come out to meet him, and then jumped in the police car to take him back to Graceland and his return to civilian life. The next time Elvis was here at Studio B was on Sunday 20th of March, a couple of weeks after getting home following his demob from the army. Elvis hired a Greyhound bus to bring him and his entourage here to record for the first time back in civilian life. First song he cut that day was an Otis Blackwell song, Make Me Know It. And on that night he also cut the first two sides of his first single, what would be his first single after coming out of the army, Stuck on You and Fame and Fortune. Needless to say that they were Stuck on You was a massive hit. Fame and Fortune also charted at number 12 in the US charts. So the following day, Monday 21st of March, then Elvis left Nashville on the South Wind train, headed for Miami to record his appearance on the Frank's Welcome Home Elvis Frank Sinatra Timex special down in Miami at the Fontainebleau Hotel. Elvis was back here on Sunday 3rd of April for another overnight session for more tracks for the what would be the Elvis Is Back LP release, and a couple more single sides. And of course those couple of single sides turned out to be Are You Lonesome Tonight and It's Now or Never, both massive #1 hits both sides of the Atlantic. So with Elvis Is Back the LP being such a great album as well. It was a highly successful recording session that Elvis had here in March and April of 1960.
So here we are in Riverside Park. What was Riverside Park, which was a teen hangout in the 50s, and this is McKellar Lake. The park's now called Martin Luther King Park, and this is where Elvis would come water skiing in the mid-50s. He actually came water skiing here on the 3rd of July 1960 when his father married Dee Stanley. Elvis couldn't bring himself to attend the wedding, which he felt was too soon after his mother had passed in August 58. So he came water skiing instead. A few days later, on 7th of July 1960, Elvis bought himself a new motorboat, and being impulsive as he was, proceeded to drive the boat into the dock area, causing some damage. And while waiting to have the damage assessed, the novelty of the boat quickly wore off, and he ended up spending the night in the Memphian Theatre. He came back to record his first full-fledged gospel LP, His Hand in Mine. Again, that was a big LP hit for a gospel song, hit at number 13 in the US, number 3 in the UK. Crying in the Chapel was also recorded that day. That would be 1965 before it was released, and that would be a number 1 hit in Britain. And number 3 in America.